So here he is, once again, reunited. We are, me and Mr. One Punch Brad Pickett. Mate, good to see you again.
Yeah, good. Mate, first of all, I appreciate you for bringing me involved for the weekend. You know, I got the call and I didn't hesitate. I flew in, and yeah, it was amazing event. Thank you.
But this is honestly pleasure to have you there, and for that card as well, and for Germany, because this is what I want to talk to you about the experience of being at an Octagon show. Because when we walked into the arena, into the fest hall, you said something to me which you haven't said for years. Years. So just describe what you saw, and then tell people what you felt and said to me.
Well, I'll explain. In this aspect is when you finish retiring, right?
When you finished retiring. So if you finished retiring, is this an announcement we're making?
right. When you finish fighting, like you're still still attached quite a bit for a period of time where you go to the shows, you get this edge, and like when someone fighting, you always kind of
you never lose it, right? It's always in you.
No, it just. You suppress it a little bit more. It goes behind. It doesn't come up to the forefront as much. But when I walked into that arena, the fest hall, and just looked at the event and just this is before the event even started. Just man, I wanted to fight there, and it gave me a little bit like, man, I wish I was fighting here rather than commentating. And I haven't had that feeling for a long time. So it was well done. You know what I mean? Like, it got me jittering.
But listen, let's talk about the whole experience then of being at the Octagon event, which was Frankfurt this weekend. It was almost full from the start, right? Before the prelims had even started, we're doing the round zero show. We're talking through the event, through the fights, through the matchups. And there was a moment just before we lead into the first fight, which is the free prelim. And we'll talk a bit about that as well. You turned around and you were like, it's like 70% full and there's not even a fight happened yet.
I've been to a lot of shows around the world, multiple shows, the regional arena events and that stuff. There's only one other show out there that I've witnessed where it's full from the beginning, and that's a UFC. And not all UFCs either, because a lot of UFCs they don't do that as well. UFCs on an England card, or UFCs on a Sweden card. A UFC where, not in America, because America they have so many events, it's not a big old deal. But when you go to an event, you haven't been there, kind of thing. People go there not to see their fighters, of course to see the fighters, but they go there for the event itself. Like a UFC card is sold out in England before you even know who's on the card. It is sold out. And this kind of reminded me of that kind of feel where it is full from the beginning. As soon as you walked in before the first fight, people are here for the event. People who are there now are not there for the prelims and going to go home. They're going to be there for the full duration, which I think it was really good to see.
We had a little bit of vested interest as well, especially from the UK. And there was a fighter who you knew him in the era. I got to know him over his return to Octagon, helping make this little mini documentary on him, John Hathaway. 8 years out of the cage, 8 years since he was what was one of the big hopes in the UK alongside you. I'll never forget you, baby, for, climbing those UFC rankings and potentially going towards a title. Came back and the performance was amazing. The moment was something special though, right? And you had a couple of words with him afterwards. I think you met him as he came out of the cage. It felt like a real honor to call that fight, right?
Yeah, yet again, going about stories being told. This guy has one hell of a story for what he's had to go through over 8 years. You're thinking about not just physically getting yourself ready to get in the cage, the mental struggles of, am I fighting again? Am I not fighting again? Am I going to live? Am I going to die? All that sort of stuff. Am I ever going to be the same? All these battles outside of the battle, just to see him make that walk and just step into the cage, win, lose, draw, whatever. Man, that guy needs a medal. Give that. if you're gonna knighthood someone, I would knighthood him 100%.
Sir John Hathaway.
Yeah,
Sir John Hathaway.
just to go through, mentally, I'm even taking the physical side of part of it. Mentally, that's gonna be so mentally challenged to get in there. And oh my god, that guy did not miss a beat. He looked superb. As I did say in the commentaries, and his fighting style back in those days was ahead of its time, and it's still good now. I mean, like, as in, if you could box and wrestle and this like he did, and like when I say wrestling can become quite boring, but he was good at wrestling. So, well, look at someone like Ben Askren. He out wrestled everyone, right? But it was sometimes it could be quite boring because he didn't do much. Where Hathaway is constantly beating you up, like he's just hitting you, beating you up. It's not. I've been out wrestled before, believe it or not, right? And
not by Demetrius Johnson, though, right?
100% not. No. What's that? 10 takedowns in one fight. Who's counting? But but like sometimes you get out wrestled, and it's like you're getting bored within the process. It's like, oh, what you do? But when someone's out wrestling you and beating you up, it is demoralizing, and yeah, and it was just such impressive to see like how good he looked on his return.
A couple of other fights before we talk about the Eklund one, just to touch on, and the fighter that I wanted to introduce you to beforehand, Christian Jungwirth. Jungwirth versus Kurtesh, a banger of a fight, a crazy warrior. He turned it into his fight, right? He lost there wasn't even a split decision. I think it was unanimous, 28-29, 29-28 on all three scorecards. But it was close, right? And he made it from a technical fight into a dog fight over 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, he has that sort of tendency of making it into those kind of fights, and he thrives within that sort of thing. As in, like, for me, Curtis did do the right thing with staying on the outside, moving and stuff like that. It was a very technical fight with 2 different fighting sort of styles. And it was close, like people don't realize this, even though sometimes you lose in a unanimous decision, it could be a very close fight, each round could be, and it was, I'm trying to recall myself. I actually felt like John Worth definitely won the last round. I mean, like
100% last round.
Last round. I think it was the first round he lost, and I think the second round it could have. It's like 2 stories of that fight, the first half to the second half, It just took a bit of while for John Worth to get into it, and also maybe Curtis kind of like tapered down a little bit, kind of thing. He didn't have that same amount of output he did when he started off, but yeah, I mean, again, what a high level fight, and he was, it was a good fight to watch.
Then we had the bloodbath, which was Putz versus Melon Petroshek. Putz outsized his man, out-grappled him, out-wrestled him, out-gritted him. Credit to Petroshek for getting to the end of the fight, to be honest.
Yeah.
But then the moment that stole the whole show, Brad, was Stefan Putz after the event, after the fight, after his post-fight speech, proposing to his beautiful long-term girlfriend in the cage while cut, battered, bruised, covered in his blood and his opponent's blood. Yeah. And then the proposal came, and there was a kiss on the face, and they turned to the camera, and it was the red wedding, right?
She's just covered. It looked like a proposal from Game of Thrones, like there's just blood everywhere. I was just waiting to see, honestly, just to top that off. He just needs a dragon to fly, and him takes his wife not his wife, his fiance on the back of the dragon and just fly off out, like that,
out the pest hole roof.
That's what they're missing. That's what they're missing,
What, yeah, make some effort. Come on, Putz. Come on, put some effort in.
But that fight in itself, I mean, Petroshek done well to stay in that fight, and one of those ones you could always win a fight when you stay in it. And when you said, like, he has the skill to maybe turn things around and just catch something. Like, even at the end, he actually finished the fight really well in a really good position.
With the big right hand coming in on the ground over the top. Yeah.
But I kind of think that Poots felt he already had it won and stuff like that, and felt comfortable. but they're the kind of fights that take years off your life, because years, like, man, that was a hard kind of like, grueling fight for both guys, and I
Yeah,
you could tell
yeah.
the blood was everywhere,
And then we had the main event. The main event, you got to experience the Christian Eckling walkout. We were both on our feet for it. First of all, sum up the energy and the atmosphere, because we had some great responses as people walked in, and but it went up to 11 right when Eckling came in.
And for me, as in, I couldn't hear it as well as I wanted to with the headphones on, but when you said take them off, I was like, oh my God, like, we had good headphones in Octagon, and I couldn't, it really sound counseling. But when I took them off, it was just like, wow, like, we're having an event here, and we're having a main event, as in, like, kind of like, you kind of feel like the whole night led to this fight, and a lot of pressure on Eklund. I was worried about this fight. It is a tough fight. Like, the other guy, I mean, look, I mean, like, Danielson looked very good within the first fight, within that first round, on a short notice, like a week's
1
notice.
week, yeah.
Like that. Yeah. To have a full camp, I was like nervous. But for me, Eklund fought the perfect fight, game plan wise. Just took his time, stayed out of danger, and just, look, I mean, fantastic fight. Like, just when you talk about game plans and fighting IQ, sometimes people get caught up within the occasion of that event. Like, oh, I'm gonna go, let's go, and people. I would be one of those guys who just be charged up and want to throw bombs, but he stayed very smart and calculated, which he needed to do against a very dangerous opponent.
We've seen Octagon announce going to Munich next, already looking at another city to move from Frankfurt. What do you think Octagon's potential is across Europe?
I think it's the biggest show in Europe by far, just because not just the fighters, they have very good fighters as well, but the full package. What they're doing is, I think, that the leading show in Europe, and people need to take note of them and try and compete with them. I think that they're there doing remarkable things for MMA in Europe.